Afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Can somebody just step outside in the hallway and in Croatian say they're giving out €500,000 in here? Because Alex is. If you play your cards right, there's €500,000 at stake. But for those of you here, we're going to, Jonathan, sadly, who was moderating, couldn't be here, so you're stuck with me. And we're going to have more of a freewheeling conversation about co-production these days. If you haven't been at the markets recently, outside of CE and other places, I think you'll come to understand that we're in a particularly evolutionary time in the business. Public service broadcasters are under financial and political pressure. License fees are not going up. Linear broadcasters are struggling in the current advertising market. Fast channels are not yet the financial savior of our industry. And the streamers and their corporations are under strain and revenue growth, which leads to, for them, largely a fewer, bigger, better approach, and the rest of us still trying to make commissions. So we're back to a model of a decade or more ago, co-productions, stitching things together, working together on both a creative and a financial level. Because in a perfect world, you'd have one commissioner, one distributor, one tax credit, if you had so in your country or region, and that would fully finance a series these days, but it doesn't for the majority of series. So we're going to talk about it from a public and private approach, from a creative and financial approach. Initially, because you have the title of everybody and their companies, but I've asked them, rather than doing a long introduction on everyone, just to sort of say specifically what you do related to co-production and why you're here today. Nebojša.
Well, we are co-producing heavily lately, and as you just said, it's the things are changing, you know, and we can feel it, we can see it. Even, you know, I have to say that we never experienced the beauty of this, you know, bubble.
Yeah.
So that it's a kind of permanent, you know, state here, you know. So we are on a small market, which has its financial limits as well as creative limits, and that's what turned us to start to look for the partner outside Croatia, of course. I have to say that you know, when it comes to something we like to call high-end content, Croatian public broadcaster is actually the only one who is really, you know, financing and helping independent producers in that
thank God for that
effort. Yes, yeah. And they are really taking their role seriously. Unfortunately, you know, due to different metrics and all other things, yeah. We are still waiting for commercial TV station to join. So we are really right now literally depending on the support of the public service. 3 years ago, we started actually to look for co-production partners. First, of course, we've been looking in the region, because it seemed like quite normal and organic. Yeah. But
and your company, if I can interject, is part of a larger distributor.
Yes.
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 So that's an advantage.
That's definitely an advantage. So as I said, we tried in a region, it didn't work, and we simply decided, you know, to go out of the region. Yeah. And 3 years ago, we produced the first co-production with Russia, Ukraine, and Germany. Yeah, a little harder these days. Yeah, and then, unfortunately, you know, in between of 2 seasons, Russia attacked Ukraine, so we lost 2 co-production partners. But yeah, we managed somehow. Okay. And the present project, we are now closing the financing, is again the big real European co-production, but it started from here. Okay. And we hope that it would be the first Croatian-Italian co-production ever. It's a project called Greater Adria. We just got confirmed financing from Croatian public broadcaster, and very advanced talks of other partners with the German and Italian broadcasters.
Okay, hold on that, because we're going to come back to all of that. We're going to circle back around, but I'll come back to it. And good thing you just arrived, because we haven't given out the €500,000 yet. Alex is going to tell you how to win the prize. Alex, you're Romanian. You're in Strasbourg now. You're administering this program that is now in television. Practically, what does that mean? What do you do with co-productions?
Well, first of all, Council of Europe for Eurimage, co-production is our first name, middle name, last name since 1989. But it was for feature films. Yeah. And then it came the moment when we said that, okay, we should or might or we could look into doing something also in the series for multiple reasons. And reasons 4 years ago were in a different scope. 2 years ago differently, and now we are in the apocalypse scenario that you have just described at the beginning. Nevertheless, ideally model, you mentioned that, would be one source of one commissioner, one tax rebate and so on, but I think that ideally it would be that model, but also this model, because that model is for certain type of projects that are coming up, or they are intended maybe for the national market, or however. We are looking from a co-production perspective where creativity is brought naturally together. So projects are not applying because they need the money. Yes, it is good. You should apply because you need the money. If you don't,
and the money is 250,000 to 500,000 euros.
Yes,
per project potentially.
There are two fixed grants.
Yeah.
So they are non-reimbursable.
Non-reimbursable means I don't have to give you the money back?
No.
Okay, I like that.
Tough times, we try to help.
I like that.
So non-reimbursable, it's 75% it's paid up right at the beginning, so we try to help as much as possible for the cash flow.
Yeah.
There are the limitations of where we come from, so the applicant should be from a country that is participating in the program. For now, there are 13 countries.
Some of the CEE countries are in the program and some are not.
Yes, Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, and North Macedonia are part of the program. Hungary as well. So the applicant and the story and the development should be initiated in these countries. Yeah. And then they can be in a co-production with any other country from the Eurimage large family, which is 39 countries, including Canada. So. We have a very wide...
so EU, non-EU countries, English-speaking, non-English-speaking, all good.
Yeah, Council of Europe is larger than EU, so we have a bit of a larger scope.
Come on in. You just missed the €500,000, but you might have a chance for a second prize. Krisztina.
Yes, sir.
Pan-CE, based in Hungary, also a large studio, but part of a larger organization. What's your role in co-productions for Paprika? How does it apply daily for you?
Well, when I joined Paprika Studios in January this year, co-productions were new to Paprika. They were not new to me, but Paprika Studios realized the importance and the relevance of co-production in the current market. So we started setting up this department, or I started setting up the department, and the first 11 months was spent amongst a million other things, sourcing a slate, which I am now very proud of. There's a slate of 10 plus 10 projects that we put together, 10 of our original co-productions and about 10 projects that we boarded as second or third partners, and we're just starting to go out to the market with these projects. So,
okay, so we're going to talk about
very exciting.
The ups and downs. And coming around to Morad, commissioner responsible for international co-productions for one of the biggest public service broadcasters, France Television, and you're one of the anchor tenants of the original alliance between France Television, RAI in Italy, ZDF in Germany, that now has begat other alliances, the new 8, if you may have read about it, and maybe the CEE public broadcasters will talk about coming together in their own alliance. Why not? But we'll come to that. But talk about it from your point of view. Your daily role at France Television in looking for French projects, and then those international projects. How does it apply for you daily?
For France Télévisions, we have 3 entries for fiction. We have the domestic one, we have the young adult one, and you have also the international one. So we decided to dedicate a small amount of the huge fiction budget towards international co-production. And basically, we're working hand in hand with ZDF and RAI in priority. It doesn't mean that we are not working with someone else, streamers, etc. But it's true that when we receive projects, we think from the get-go, will it please the German audience? Will it be of interest of the Italian audience? And basically, we try to go into production with 3 projects a year. And this is the case for next year. We have the Collective, Kabul coming on, and we are all the 3 public broadcasters are on board this project. We don't need to have the 3 public broadcasters on each project, but we can be together with RAI on Monte Cristo. We could be together with ZDF on something else. So the idea is first and foremost to work and to foster our relationship. But it's true that we are independent, and we think that from time to time we want to push some project that we believe in. And even though that we know that German or Italians are not will be quite appealed by the project, but still we're pushing for them, and we'll find, as all producers here, to find a way to finance it. But first and foremost, we are looking for organically international projects. We're not looking for projects that travel well. We are looking for international projects first.
So, I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about the rhymes and reasons of a financial co-production. There's always finances to it, but the best co-productions are the organic co-productions that make natural sense to work together. So, as producers, Nebojša and Krisztina, why would you take on a co-production? Because initially, if you've got your own projects, why cut in another partner, junior partner or otherwise, who financially and creatively you're going to have to involve in some way, if not 50-50, at least in some partnership? Why would you take on those partnerships, or why do you look for those co-production partnerships? And more importantly, for everybody in the room, what are the materials that you really need, and what are the ones we've talked about at breakfast that are nice but are really a waste of time and money?
So
things like sizzles, not all of the time, but most of the time, or extensive mood boards and big director statements. What are your partners looking for before we go to Morad, before we go to Alex?
So, I mean, you mentioned, I truly believe that every European co-production is organic, because that's what Europe is. And,
but different languages, different cultures.
Never mind, because we are used to that. And there is a very interesting fact. I got it the beginning of this year in Göteborg from European Producers Club. They said that last year, in 22, in Europe, 700 titles were produced. Mm-hmm. And only 10% of these 700 titles were co-productions, and only half of that, so 35, were real across Europe co-productions. Yeah. That the rest were like traditional, like German-speaking territories, or Scandi, or Nordic, or Benelux, etc. So despite the fact that everybody are talking about the needs for co-productions, people are not doing that exactly from the reasons you also mentioned. But for us, it's like, I can speak from creation perspective. We have this really unique position geographically, and that also influence that us in the sense of the content. So we have a very, we have a 360-degree neighborhood. So wherever we turn, it's organic. So with Italy, with Slovenia, Hungary, Serbia, Bosnia, it's all around, So, and historically, we were at crossroads, when people were coming here with good intentions sometimes, with the bad intentions, but out of that we can make stories which are, rooted in a reality. We don't have to force cooperation,
Yeah, but as you said, your challenge is you have one broadcaster who is presently funding series, largely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's the one path, one avenue.
Well,
so,
but that's there is another possibility.
Yeah.
And for example, the streamers are not producing here; they are licensing.
yeah.
But you know, if co-producing,
Not yet, because you have levies coming in some of the countries.
yes,
yeah.
and we have a 4%. They
Yes.
have a 4% investment obligation. And sooner or later, they will realize that they can co-produce with Croatian Public Service because Croatian Public Service need exclusivity for Croatia.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of windowing. It's a
Yeah.
matter of, you know, different business models. Sooner or later, you know, they will. But also, now the situation's changed. Position of independent producers. You know, now we are capable to bring a lot of money.
Yeah.
To table, you know.
Yeah.
So now we have Eurimage, we have media,
Creative Media Europe
we have,
funds,
we have
yes.
cash rebates. We can facilitate all kind of tax credits,
Yeah.
tax shelters, etc. So suddenly we are not somebody who is coming with empty pockets. We are here. We can bring up to 2-3 millions to the project.
We're gonna come back to that and talk about that ideally with time, but that's a lot of partners. That's a lot of putting people on a table and keeping the table level. But we'll come back to that. Krisztina, I'm going to come back to you, but Morad, part of what he was talking about was levies. So you also have a levy in France. It's 20% now to the streamers?
I guess, yes. And
Yeah.
80 or 85% dedicated to TV, TV programs and
Yeah.
the rest for movies.
And you mentioned earlier that you're not co-producing with the streamers, but we talked earlier that theoretically you would partner with them in windowing.
Yeah.
Whether they've got the first and exclusive window or you do, or there's a mutual period, you're open to it now, and as we know, the streamers are open to it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. But not presently co-producing a series with a streamer.
For the technicality of the term, I don't know, but for us it's a co-production.
Okay.
Because it's true that more and more they ask us to be in charge of the editorial side of the project, because from time to time they are not staffed enough.
Yeah.
So they rely on us on the artistic development of the project, but we work with almost all of them, and we are happy to work with all of them, because it's true that when we do very few projects, we try to do important and large scope projects with kind of an important budget. So we are happy to find this partner and to work together on this one. And it's true that we can be second, first, 3 months later, 6 months later, 1 year later. There's a very large flexibility.
That's a real shift in the last year or 2 years when I was last at Zagreb.
And
quite a shift.
And from our part also, because 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, we were not on that term.
Good. Krisztina, so you're putting together productions, pan-Europe, pan-CE. What are you looking for in terms of materials, elements to bake before you take it to Morad or to me or to Alex in a way?
Sure, and pan-European as well as pan-CE. I think the current moment is a nice moment for Western Europe to start turning towards us again. After the streaming bubble has burst, they're turning towards us for co-productions also. So there's a new energy to be willing to co-produce, because the money is not coming from the streamers so much. What I'm looking for, having been a commissioner myself, and I do believe that strongly in that we need to shrink the distance between the writers and what the commissioners want. I can't pick up a project of slates that don't make sense in the current market. So obviously our own slate is put together based on what we can take to which commissioner. So organic co-production, yes, it has to be organic. So I don't believe in a forced co-production, which does happen often, even with Hungarian storylines, for example. It just doesn't make sense sometimes because the actors are not there or the locations are not there. Obviously, Paprika is a production company, so we have to board second or third party projects. It has to make sense for us to and use the production arm also So can we complete the financing? Can we make a promise and a commitment to actually bring to the table what is missing and not waste the time of the project and the people working on the project? So I think there's a million aspects to it. At the moment, I think commissioners are looking for safer content, so IP is super important.
Let me jump in on that, on IP. Alex, and this is a question for everyone, but I'll address it to you. As you look at the applications for your images, what percentage are projects based on original IP and projects that are coming from existing, known, recognized, universal IP, whether it's a book or a podcast or a film or a comic book, but something that's got some substantial recognition to it. Can you quantify that for us?
Very good question, to which I would love to answer a bit later. I mean, not today, but in maybe end of January, February, once we have concluded the first round of our funding, so I can actually have an answer to your question.
Okay.
Because we just launched the first call this October, and now it's in the process of evaluation, and somewhere in January we'll come up with the results, and then I will be able to tell you this.
Okay.
I'll
kick it. I was going to kick it over to Morad.
Yeah. For my lineup, for what we have in development at different stages, I did the count, and it's true that almost all of them, even if you count Kabul, which is not per se an IP, but it's something that relies on something existing and known by everybody.
True history.
I guess all of them are from something that did exist before in some form, books, article, or something that is in the common knowledge of everybody. So the original for this huge international co-production, it's true that all of a sudden I had a discovery that all the projects that we had in development are something that are not original, at least one or two, but out of 15. So.
Okay, so can I make a hypothesis for people to agree or disagree with that if you have an original project, the hurdle for co-production is going to be a bit higher unless you can bring some significant talents to it behind the camera or in front of the camera. I use the example, if I said to people, Mayor of Easttown, you'd say, Mayor of where? No, Mayor.
Mayor of Easttown.
But if I have Kate Winslet, now you're leaning in and you're a little more interested. So is that something that if you had an original piece of IP from any country, Morad, what's going to make it interesting for you to come into that original piece of IP? Is it those significant talents behind and maybe in front of the camera? Would that help to cross the hurdle?
In front, not behind.
In front. So no, even an Academy Award-winning director or Caesar Award-winning director?
No, it depends on the project. If it's a world-building creation type of show, of course the vision of the director is something more important than the fact that you have Jean Dujardin in your series. Yeah. But it's true for the for a TV viewership, they don't give a shit about the director. Even for a movie, no one decided to see a Spielberg movie. We have numbers.
What about hot, recent showrunners of a series, writer-creators? Is that going to turn the needle up for you, or?
It will reassure the management to know that we have this wonderful Israeli showrunner because his show was adapted in many countries, for instance. But for us, it's more an internal process than for the viewers. We know that they are good. So, and internally, it's something that is important to carry on the project till the end. But I'm not sure that the only... very basically, the only thing that matters in terms of the package is the actor and the actress. The only way that the director will be of importance if you have something that needs something visually that needs to be visually created or something like that.
So for the producers, if you're either looking at a co-production that's brought to you or taking one out to partners, what are the materials you're sharing that are valuable, and what are less worth you putting your time and energy into? I mentioned sizzles. I find sizzles cut together of other people's TV shows and movies nice, but frankly a waste of time and money and energy.
It can be counterproductive.
Yeah.
But it depends also. Sorry.
No.
It
It's
depends
for anybody.
if it's a visual project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for it with a mood board. But if it's not a visual project, starting by that and posing your view, and there's only one chance. So if you miss it.
I do agree with that statement. You have but one chance these days, often, to put your best foot forward. So timing of that and what materials and pieces you have together, getting to market quickly is important. I think you were talking about that, Krisztina, but getting to market in the right way. You know, there's an application once a year or twice a year for your images?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yes.
So
it's one shot.
One shot. Take the best shot, not just the shot. But coming back to the two of you, materials, either you're looking at or you're taking out, what are you finding valuable?
I think what's invaluable is script. I believe that that's where commissioners really know what you want to do, if you get to that point. But I think also you need to know your audience. Some commissioners don't have time to read more than, or don't like to read more than 5 pages. Some commissioners do like a mood board or a trailer or whatever. So you need to know, we obviously have a relationship with each of the commissioners. You need to know what they prefer and what they have time for and what communicates the project's essence the best way to this particular company or commissioner. So I think we act accordingly. But usually as you move along, you know, you need to be ready because the question will come once you pitch the project, where's the script? Can we read the script? Yes. So you need to have everything you can prepared, I believe.
I agree that it's all about script and, you know, and of
and
course.
And a good deck?
And the good deck. And, but also, speaking of co-productions, then you really have, you know, it's also the references of the partners, because, you know, it's, in our business, it's a lot of that is about the references, the previous works, and the capability to keep all this mess together, because sometimes it really, you know, it starts harmonically and suddenly it turns to kind of explode to your face. Then you have to collect all those pieces back to sit and talk and go.
Keep people level on the table.
Exactly,
yes,
and that's you know, and it's really, as I said, for some producers, and I can see now. I had we were in London last week, you know, and I spoke with the French, the Canadian, US producers. They said, "What? I thought I woke up in 2004, or what's, you know, the co-product, what we, you know," so people will have to, again, for us, it's a normal thing, you know, because, you know, when you know what's the financial limits of the market and you have to look around, so people will really now have to start to learn how to deal with that, you know, and it's to understand, because there is a vast space of Europe. They don't even know that for the existence of the different sources of soft money, because they didn't have to know that.
Yeah,
you know?
Now
so
they do.
Now they will have to start, you know, to think about that. And yeah.
Okay, so often people ask me where to find partners. So if you come up to Morad afterwards and you say, I have a great project I think would be perfect for the Alliance or France, and you overwhelm him with projects, Morad, you're not partnering people with French producers. So where would you necessarily, where would you all recommend people look for these partners? How are you going to find these partners?
It's really the job of the producer to find the partners. France Télévisions is welcoming a project. Then there's maybe a difference between the fact that when we receive the project, we receive the pitch deck. And we pay the development, so we are from the get-go. We work together on what we want, and it's an artistic input that we want to keep. So that's why we usually the French producer don't provide the first script. They provide the pitch deck, and then we start from there and we develop the project. And for the partnership, my boss Manuel Alduy is working with the producer to find the right financial partners for the project, but. It's on a case by case, and it's true that if we don't find, if all of a sudden we know that ZDF and RAI are not on board, so we have to find the new partners, and then this is where it's more on the financial side. I'm the artistic guy, sorry.
So Krisztina, Nebojša, where are you finding new partners in countries you may not have experience in? Where are the more valuable markets or conferences or experiences rather than just picking up the phone or the email?
We always, first we go to Germany. It's like, because Germany is really positioned as a country which they are kind of centrally positioned, and they support the projects without a German national element in it. But if they think that it brings certain valuable European meaning and message, so it's not a joke. So you first knock to ZDF's door. So it's also, how to say it, it's individual. Most of the partners for the last project I found on international markets, actually. The first I met last year or 2 years ago, I met Peter Naderman, again, the German, in Dubrovnik. We spoke over the glass of wine about something. Oh, this is a good idea, let's start with that. Then we together flew to Rome, to Mia, where we found the Fabula. Then, Fabula is then connected with the Federation. Peter Naderman is connected with ZDF Studios. We are connected with Beta. Through all these connections, we get to Lumiere in Belgium, who are also distributed themselves. But, you have to be around. You have to go around. You have to travel. It's exhausting. It's expensive. And in the same time, you have to work on content, because we are not only producers, we are writers and, as they call it, showrunners. And so it's a challenging thing.
But if you are doing an organically international co-production, you should not ask this question. It has to be natural. So if you have in your story, in the character, in the settings, something that will relate, that will be relatable for the German audience, it's true, you go for the dev. If it's not an international co-production, it's something else. So you're looking for buyers, pre-buyers, international distributors, and this type of stuff. But an international co-production, it means that you will have a discussion, an artistic discussion with my colleagues from ZDF, for instance, if they find something relatable for their audience. So it's, I think you will find your natural partner through the story of your production. All the production doesn't need to be international, but the ones that are organically international, they will find naturally their partners, because this is made for the French audience and the German audience, for instance.
And for us, this is, but you just throw the ball into the Strasbourg court. This is exactly the project that we intend to support, and this is what we are fostering, the idea of having this nucleus, this core of creativity right from the beginning on board. So not on the financial needs. Of course, there is a financial need, but the drive should be creatively. So also, for example, one of the criteria that we are looking is that to have a balanced creative input from the co-producers, be it behind the screen or also in front of the screen, but most important, behind the screen in terms of writing, directing, and
Alex, is there an area on your website that lists various submitters from different countries, so that if I was looking for a Croatian producer, I might be able to reach out to somebody who has already submitted or succeeded at some point in the Your Images funding? Well, not yet, or
not yet, because we just, as I mentioned, this was the first year, so we are in a piloting. We are a pilot of.
So we can help you build a better.
And we'll have the success stories, hopefully, good success stories by the end of January that we can talk about. And this will also, one of the key elements is also, because there was a lot of discussion about language, and if language is circulating or not. I think that nowadays languages are circulating more because of, I think young audience are not necessarily into dubbing anymore, they are more into subtitling and so on. But on the other hand, this is also part of our DNA. We want to have a diverse linguistic, I will call it slate, but it's not a slate. It's
multi-language. No, let me jump to Krisztina just for a moment. But first, you mentioned Peter Naderman. He's here. He's not in the room. I'm just going to say that he'll buy you a glass of wine. So find Peter Natterman, go up to him, tell him Marc said, buy me a glass of wine. He bought you one, and see if you can do a project with him. Krisztina, he won't. I'm faster than him. He won't catch me. Any ideas for others of places and ways to find the right partners if you haven't met before?
I think,
or
as
wanting
Nebojša said, the markets are super important. Need to know your markets, smaller markets, bigger markets, Series Mania, Berlinale, Content London. Come to Zagreb, Dubrovnik, Tallinn, NetP, C21, etc., etc.
Okay.
Go to the markets, do the networking. You have to. This is a network business. We all want to work with people we like, really, and know and trust. And attend programs like I was at EAVE, so I have access to a wonderful network of people. There's EVA, there's different labs that
ACE series, when
take
you first met at ACE series, there's European,
exactly.
European Producers Club.
Yeah. So
Okay,
take
we're just
these
trying to give you
chances.
some examples of where you can go and where people have met one another before, besides Peter.
Yeah.
Other people who will buy you a glass of wine. All right, so you've got your partners, hopefully. You've got your project materials. How are you going to the commissioners? And I'm using Morad as an example. You don't speak for ZDF and RAI, but you know how they operate as well in the alliance and out. So we're using you as our
proxy.
Our proxy, yes. What can we bring to you in what form that's going to be more relevant? We were talking earlier that a lot of times producers take an approach of pitching to, this is what's going to make it relevant for the consumer. But initially, you're not pitching to the consumer. You're pitching to a business. And within that business, even as the Commissioner for International, you have to pitch up and out internally to a lot of people in your linear broadcaster, your public service broadcaster. So what do you need to help? How you said? You put it in a way. Help me to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Expand upon that.
We need just a good idea. Really, it's something that when we received last year 150 projects.
150.
150,
okay.
And we said yes on a development. We said yes to five or six. And we enter in development for this project. So they stand out very easily. You see this project right away, actually. You don't need anything else.
Can you generalize what stood out about those 5 out of 150?
But I don't know if you know, but we do have an editorial line. So we're looking for organically international project, and we are looking for eventful. So we need something huge, big, with sense, of course, that tell the world of today, or a huge IP for Christmas time. So we have a grid, and hopefully I hope you know what we're looking for. And so if you and this year we did a call for project for all the project related to AI, on the impact of AI on people, on the society. So if you enter within the frame with a huge idea, with a great idea, with, as you said, talent attached, and a wonderful production company with a high pedigree, you have a lot of chance to mark the box.
Right. I'm going to keep going, but sadly, we could talk about this subject for another hour or two. We have about 5 minutes left, and I said I would open it for some Q&A. Does anyone have a specific question, not a pitch, something that we haven't addressed, you'd like us to address? Put your hand up, otherwise we're going to keep going for the remainder. Don't be shy if you have anything. All right, so we talked about organic co-productions, but now sometimes we need to get things made. So there are, and this may be a little less related to you, Morad, there are financial co-productions. You know, we can't make it in Zagreb. It's too expensive. We can't make it fully in Croatia. It's too expensive. I would say the same thing about Paris and London. For whatever reason, we can't do it. So we've got to look elsewhere that might provide us some assets and resources, whether it's a tax shelter, whether the fact that somebody is on the euro and somebody is not on the euro, and that currency is devalued, the Hungarian forint, to the euro is less expensive. And so our euro, if it's a euro funding distributor or broadcaster, just might carry that much farther. So I didn't want to have to go to Hungary to do it, but I need to do some element of their shooting, studio, post. Can we talk about the elements of a financial co-production?
So far we haven't been in a situation like that. We are the one who were approached
because
and we see also the change on that field, because right now there are more in demand the companies to provide the service, but the people are looking for the companies who also produce their own content. So it's kind of added value. So, you know, and we are recently contacted by several possible partners that put us in position to turn us from just facilitating the cash rebates or being real service to become a co-producer. Croatian Film Commission recently established the new financial models which can support that. One of that is that they have a contract with the Croatian Postal Bank. That's the state-owned bank which now offers loans against the rebate upfront, which is a fantastic thing, you know. So it's 20 to 25% money on the table, the pressures for the cash flow, but that means that your local producer has to be capable to manage
administer
that.
it and get it and be credible for
and
it.
then you are, in a way, you are carrying the risk. You are then really becoming the financial co-producer. That would be one of the elements. There are, of course, many others, but I hope that we will be soon in a situation that we will also look to go somewhere else, you know.
Krisztina, I mean, you're part of it. You're pan-CE, pan-Europe. You're part of a group that is pan-Europe and pan-Nordic. So are you beginning to look at stitching things together because one territory alone is too expensive, or there are greater tax benefits or incentives of bringing in another country or an EU country to now make that series EU qualified for current sales and future sales and levies?
Sure, if it makes sense. I mean, this is, of course. And tax rebates, for example, are something in this scenario that play an important role. For us, we have access through CE to 10 countries. We do service work as well, service-based co-productions also, etc., etc. So, if it makes sense.
Okay. Can I, we're running out of time. Maybe a last word from everyone. Morad, anything we haven't covered that you'd like to say?
Just to rebound on the last part of the debate, it's true that maybe one position is key. It's in France we call it directeur de production. I'm not sure if it's the line producer of the, but this guy is more and more important, and it's very hard to find people who are able to do this huge international co-production. And we know that in France there are 10 or 20 and that's it, and everybody's fighting to get them. So it's one position that is very key for the international co-production, and I just want to underline this position that is key.
As you build the program and get applications and look at what is potentially successful, things you'd like to say in closing? I mean, we are looking at the projects, so it is project oriented. It's about the creativity that comes together from the different parties that have worked until they reached us, because we are cherry picking, we are topping up the financing, so we are not coming early. So people already have validated. And I think that now everything is on the table. So there is room for different models and different systems that could allow also to have different works on the screen, small, large, whatever. And it would be great to be part of that. Okay, thank you. Hopefully we've given you some insights. My promise was true. There is €500,000 non-reimbursable. You just have to apply and win it. Thank you to the NEM Zagreb gang for bringing us all together. We're all around the rest of the conference, and yeah, hopefully we've given you some insights. I want to thank the rest of my panelists, and we'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you.